Next up, I'm excited to introduce Orestes Castaneda, Senior Business Intelligence Analyst at CBS Interactive. Orestes has 10 years of experience in BI and analytics in global organizations such as ViacomCBS. Here, he enables business decisions in different markets through intelligent models, insights, and storytelling. Today, he is here to share with us the process, collaboration, and technology components that organizations and teams can use to evolve their solutions portfolio. Welcome, Orestes. Please take it away.
Hi, everyone. My name is Orestes Castaneda. I'm one of the business intelligence leads at ViacomCBS, where I provide global support for our streaming service, Paramount+. Today, I'm going to talk about how collaboration and technology can be used to continuously evolve your machine learning solutions. So, our business, just like most businesses out there, is constantly evolving. New challenges emerge, especially if you join the streaming wars at full steam, and we set new and more ambitious goals every time. As some of you may know, we completely rebranded our streaming service. We went from CBS All Access, available in the US and Canada, to Paramount+, which is now available across South and Central America, Europe, and Australia. And as we launched, we set a very ambitious goal, which is reaching between 65 million and 75 million subscribers by the year of 2024. So business analytics plays a huge role at ViacomCBS. We have a large group of people that supports the vision and helps overcome business challenges with data and intelligent solutions. Right. In fact, since I joined the company, our team has grown 5 times, which is incredible. We do data engineering, where we create and maintain data models, data warehousing, data pipelines, among other things. We also do business intelligence, where we are constantly delivering insights to different stakeholder groups. We also do data science, and we build data products and predictive models across the subscriber lifecycle. And on top of that, we also do research and measurement operations. We work as an integrated work system. And as you can imagine, as the business evolves, our solutions also need to evolve, right? So all these areas need to continue to work as a single system. Later in this presentation, I'm going to share a few thoughts on how to constantly adapt and evolve your solutions, particularly around machine learning. So I briefly mentioned the subscriber lifecycle in the previous slide. And here I show you what a typical lifecycle looks like for a business like ours. From awareness to consideration to purchase to consumption and ultimately cancellation. Right? So we do analytics and modeling at each step of the lifecycle, plus everything and everywhere in between. I mentioned early on that the business is always changing and evolving, and with that, our analytical solutions need to evolve and adapt as well, right, to reflect those changing the change in business. And this is something very hard to do, especially in big teams that support multiple stakeholders. So let's talk about first some of the enabling technologies as part of this process. And then I'm going to talk about how collaboration comes into play or plays an important part in doing this and constantly evolving this. So this is a very simplistic view of the technologies being used. Our data resides in Google BigQuery, and that's where we have all the tables that are referenced by our models, right? And then we use Airflow as the framework. In terms of programming languages, we use pretty much SQL and Python across the whole chain here. Many of our models use a lot of data, right? So we need a lot of processing for that. In those instances, we run things in Kubernetes. And that way, we get the computing power that we need to run models more effectively and more efficiently. We automate our models using Airflow. So once we have a model prototype ready, all the Jupyter notebook with all the pre-processing steps and all the steps and the code required to run the model, plus the SQL scripts for the underlying data and for the output data. We define all those tasks right in an Airflow DAG. So basically, we use Airflow to schedule and monitor workflows for model automation. We usually store the outputs for our models back into the warehouse, and that's where and then that data is distributed to stakeholder groups in the organization in different shapes and forms, right? Whether it is in the form of a data product, a user interface, an API, and also sending that data to CRMs, right, and other decision support systems. So by combining, when we take a look at this framework, and when we combine BQ and Airflow, you can basically achieve, or we achieve, four main things, right? First, you get automated analysis, meaning you can schedule runs, once a day or multiple times a day to provide almost real-time insights. Second, you get adaptable models. How? So the models, they reference tables in BigQuery, right? So there's no hard-coded data. So the teams can actually make adjustments to the data within the tables in BigQuery. Third, you can achieve dynamic models that reference things that are unique to your business. And last but not least, you can achieve reliable models. What this means is basically you can set up alerts within Airflow. So if something breaks somewhere, your team is notified in Slack, for example, instantly. Yeah, so they can fix whatever needs to be fixed. Okay, so now that we took a look at a high level the technology stack, for developing and deploying models, let's take a look at how teams can use collaboration to constantly evolve not only their processes but also the models themselves. So collaboration can be very powerful. Collaboration can be as simple as having ongoing meetings with a core group of analysts, machine learning engineers, and others, right? The idea here is going to be to bring people together and to ignite collaboration, right? So this is the place where you're going to brainstorm from new solutions and build prototypes, right? So the main thing of your collaboration effort can be something like to ignite innovation and the evolution of your portfolio of models, their products, and analysis, with the end goal of proactively developing new insights and narratives, and to add value to the business. The three main things you have to figure out first before deploying your collaboration effort is going to be how often you're going to get together, right? How often you're going to bring that core group into a meeting, and then determine what are the objectives of your collaboration efforts. And the third thing is how you're going to measure success. And these are things that are unique to every business. So I'm not prescribing anything specifically. These are things that you guys, together with your team, need to figure out what's best. These are some of the objectives that I would recommend for your collaboration efforts. Some of these may seem very obvious, but at the same time, these can be really hard to do, especially with teams with multiple priorities and several stakeholder groups. These some of the objectives that you can include are like evolving your portfolio of data products, models, analysis, and narratives. Find new data sets. And this is particularly important because, as I mentioned, business is always evolving. That means that there are going to be new data sets available, or if the existing data sets are going to be changing, right? So you need to figure out new solutions on how you're going to engineer all that. The third can be unifying data sets whenever possible, right? And this means perhaps breaking down any silos that may exist, right? So especially with as the businesses keep growing. Many times we have data that are kind of isolated. So by this, one of the things you can do is try to unify those, right? So you can have a more complete picture of what's going on in the business data wise. Another item can be identifying new data stories, right? So this is again going with the same theme of the evolving business, new data points available, and as part of all that, you need to evolve your analysis, right? As I mentioned in the first bullet point, and that implies also evolving your data stories, right? Your narratives, and it doesn't necessarily mean that as the business grows and you have more products or more services, it doesn't mean that you're gonna keep adding more and more and more to your existing narratives. Is This needs to be done more in a more intelligent way, where you find a balance of um, uh, providing a full story of what's going on and keeping the narrative as short and as concise as possible. Another item can be formalize model reviews and model iteration and roadmaps, right? So many times I think what can happen in organizations is that models are developed, where you have prototypes that are launched, and they sometimes people or teams can get too busy with other things or new projects that and they kind of forget to go back to what they have developed and to constantly try to review it and improve it, right? So it's very important to have a way of defining and projecting, model iterations as well as roadmaps. Another important key objective of your collaboration effort can be, and I think it's very important, is the reuse of work, right? This is especially for big teams, right? I think that whenever we have big teams and you have different sub teams, right, smaller sub teams serving or they being dedicated to different stakeholder groups, sometimes working in isolation can happen, right? Not completely in isolation, but what I mean is that people get too busy with their projects that sometimes they forget to talk to each other and perhaps realize that some of the work may have been already done, right? So the reuse of work is not only a main, it's not only a main objective of any collaboration effort, but it's also a key theme that you have to keep in mind. And lastly, but also not the least important, is not letting perfect get in the way of good, right? I think many times we want to make or have a data product or a model or even something as simple as an analysis being perfect, that we perhaps tend to delay unnecessarily deploying those solutions, right? So many times good is going to be good enough for at a given point in time. And as you define your collaboration efforts and your iterations and your roadmaps, you can always go back, right, in reaching that ideal or perfect stage for your solutions, as time goes by. But the idea is to, once you have a prototype, you can launch it. It's good, produces good results, and go ahead with it, right? And then we're always going to be improving it. So, like I said, these can be very obvious, but are really hard to do, right? And it's going to require commitment and the involvement from everybody in your core group that you defined. At the end of the day, you're going to need consistency, right? And discipline to make things happen. Okay, so that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for your time, and thank you for watching.